John Pearson spent the early part of the practice session getting the feel of the XK120 again and making sure that it had not developed problems during this hibernation. And then, using all his knowledge of both circuit and car, set fastest time during the closing minutes of practice in 1 minute 1.6 seconds, just 0.6 of a second outside his own lap record. Whilst Richard Ward tries slightly too hard in his MG midget at Country Corner and nearly collects the E Type of Brian Mills in the process. John Evans is also taking things steady, running in the new engine, and records a time of 1 minute 3 seconds, equal with John Fletcher's Elan, and 1.5 seconds outside his own class record. With more to come, John is happy with his time, although he will only be on the second row of the grid. Richard Henry's Elan, snapping the time just 0.2 of a second faster, to take second place on the front row of the grid. Brian Leveland has brought his ex-Brian Murphy 4.5 litre E-Type Jaguar back to its former home, recording 5th fastest time, although at one stage the car took charge of the driver, leaving the circuit in company with fellow E-Type driver Brian Mills. Back in the paddock, Jake Matthews takes a precautionary look at the engine of John Evans' Elan, only to find a mixture of water and oil in the header tank. Hoping that it is only a head gasket that has failed, the decision is taken to miss the race and return to Willenhall, where it is hoped the engine can be ready for Silverstone the following day. Behind Pearson and Genry on the front row of the grid, Brian Leveland has joined John Fletcher on the second row, taking up the vacant place left by the non-starting John Evans, while back on the fourth row is veteran driver Mike Salmon in the Project 212 Aston Martin. At the end of the first lap, with Genry's Elan holding off Pearson's XK120, John Fletcher retires his Elan with all the fluid leaking out of the clutch master cylinder. A rare sight indeed to see this combination not out on the circuit fighting for the lead. Out on the railway straight, the power of the XK engine takes Pearson past Genry into the lead, with Leveland holding off the Davian of Bob Jarvis for third place, which becomes second when a rear damper pulls out of its mounting on Richard Genry's Elan. The representatives of Autosport and Motoring News have plenty to report both on and off the track as Roger Burnett retires the last of the Elans with engine problems, and John Pearson continues to pull away from the remainder of the field. By the end of 12 laps, John Pearson has cruised round to a comfortable victory, 26 seconds ahead of Brian Leveland, who just holds off the Davian imp of Bob Jarvis for second place. of July is Blue Circle Day at Thruxton, and all the regular Modsports competitors are entered for 2 events in the day's programme, counting for championship points. John Evans' chances in the championship have virtually disappeared. He has only 8 points against the 25 of overall championship and class leader John Fletcher. The Ark Racing Elan now supporting a trademark for its big front. The car is still missing its larger engine, a further cracked bore having been found following the Aintree mishap. Richard Genry is now sorting out his Elan, and following his outright victory in last week's championship round at Landau, should be a threat in today's race, especially as the up to 2 litre class have a race of their own. No less than 4 Porsche 911 Carreras are entered today. The 2.7 litre gaily painted car, still bearing its shell colours from being used in the Tour de France. Now owned by a great gentleman, Ark Racing are using David Purley to sort the car out for its new owner. Forsaking the glamour of Formula 1 and 2, David is also driving the blue lightweight 2 litre model in the up to 2 litre race. These 2 cars, supported by the familiar 3 litre car of Nick Foyer, and a new 2.8 litre full racing version for Alan Broad. During practice, David Purley experiences engine problems in the 2.7 litre Porsche, which resulted in his best time being 30 seconds slower than Nick Foyer's fastest lap of 1 minute 27.2 seconds. Bob Jarvis also having problems with the Davian and is much slower than usual. Guy Beddington getting the Jaguar onto the front row along with the TVR Tuscan of Chris White. A blown engine in the Morgan during practice, causing Robin Gray to miss the race. John Evans has had a successful practice with the Ark Racing Elan, his time of 1 minute 31.4 seconds, proving that the modifications to the body plus the new tyres have been successful, even though the car is down on top speed without its larger engine. John will share the front row of the grid with Richard Genry and John Fletcher, who has had problems preparing his Elan for the race, as the preparation of his Camaro has taken preference in readiness for the Tour of Britain, when he will share the driving of the car with today's arch rival Richard Genry. When the cars pass the pits at the end of the first lap, John Fletcher leads from Genry and Evans. Next time round, Genry has stormed to the front, but the backing the car has taken at Landau the previous week led to the oil tank falling off the car and handing the lead back to Fletcher, with John Evans dropping back in second place, but holding off the stones of David Purley, who is having to use all his Formula 1 experience and all of the road to keep in front of the Marcus GP of Roger Andreasen. At the end of the 8-lap race, John Fletcher leads John Evans by 9 seconds. On the same distance further back, Purley holds up Andreasen for 3rd place. John Fletcher adding 4 points to his championship total to maintain his class and overall lead. At the start of the second Blue Circle race, it's the Porsche of Nick Foyer that leads the field into the series of right-left-right bends, known locally as the conflict, with David Purley already having moved well through the field from his starting position at the rear of the grid. Foyer continues to pull away from Broad, as Purley continues his fight through the field, moving into second place by half distance. Foyer eventually going on to win by 5.6 seconds to bring him within 1 point of championship class leader Win Percy, who finishes 5th behind the Jaguar of John Burbage, who also wins the Unlimited class. This championship class now being led by Chris White in his TVR. Much lower down the field than usual is Bob Jarvis, who still manages to win the up to 1150cc class. And the 4 points he gains give him a 3-point lead in the class over teammate Pat Longhurst, and maintains his overall championship challenge just 1 point behind John Fletcher, with 9 of the 14 championship rounds completed.